Greetings all from the building of the European Parliament in Strasbourg. This will be a special occasion, a special conversation today, because I have another guest. As usual, I have a guest, Suszanna Borvendég, member of the European Parliament, our homeland movement, and working for the Europe of Sovereign Nations Group. And my other guest is Mr. Pablo Vesita from Italy. He's a trainee of the Europe of Sovereign Nations Group. My first question is to Suszanna. Suszanna, why do you think it's a good thing to have young people working in the European Parliament and be young trainees with the group?
I know that it is a cliché, but the young people are the future. They are the key to renewal of Europe. And they will have to be able to lead back Europe to the track of normality, otherwise we are lost. So that's why ESN Group considers how important is to involve young people in politics, mainly those people who believe in conservative values. So we have to support them to stand up for these values, I think.
Thank you. Pablo, welcome here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
My first question is, why did you apply to ESN Group? And do you have a favorite country or maybe a favorite national party why you came, or maybe a favorite MEP that you came here for?
The ESN Group is the only parliamentary group that is coherent to its reactionary rhetoric, and is the only parliamentary group in Europe that is leading this culture war we're having against the left. And young people everywhere in Europe are starting to wake up and realize this tremendous path we're heading towards as a civilization. And young people in general in Europe are conscripting in more and more to right-wing movements because, again, we are all realizing what is happening to our continent and we want to save it. And well, in the ESN, I would say that in general, my favorite parties would be the AfD from Germany and Mihazank, of course. But there are, of course, great people in virtually every party that compose the ESN. If I had to pick my 3 favorite MEPs, it would be, well, Thomas Fröhlich, for whom I am currently working, you, of course, Suszanna, and Milan Mazurek, because I feel like you are the ones who are the most courageous in applying realpolitik, real politics, dialectic, in the most controversial issues that are debated in the plenary sessions, such as the Ukrainian conflict, for instance, and the increasingly inefficient and counterproductive policies in Ukraine, and the demographic replacement of Europeans in our own continent, and of course the massacres in Gaza, which are not talked about much in the right wing. So those would be the topics that are the most controversial and that I admire you for speaking out on.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm turning to Suszanna again. Pablo is from Italy. You, as a historian, do you see any similarities between Hungarian and Italian history, especially in the 20th century?
Actually, yes. There are some parallels between the histories of the two countries. For example, we all experienced the trauma of lost wars, the totalitarianism, and the foreign domination as well. But there is a big difference between us, I think. This is that Italian people didn't have to suffer a communist dictatorship. And that's why the leftist movements were more popular during the Cold War in Italy than in Hungary, of course. And nowadays, I think that's why the leftist movements, I mean the globalist movements, because they are the same, I think. So the globalist movements are more supported by the Italian society than the Hungarian one. So I think we have to encourage Italian conservative people, especially young people, to be brave enough to spread the patriotic ideas in their homeland.
Thank you. Pablo, you said as you especially like Mi Hazánk mozgalom. What is the political landscape like, the political environment in Italy now? Do you have something similar to Mi Hazánk mozgalom in Italy?
Well, after 10 years of left-wing governance in Italy, Meloni's government, that is made of a coalition of these three parties, Lega, Fratelli d'Italia, and Forza Italia, have brought about a renewed stability, I would say. We finally have a credible, lengthy government. We finally have a credible foreign policy, and our unemployment rate is down and at its lowest in years. So there are some good factors to this, but of course I have my criticism of the administration, namely on immigration. In the last 3 years in Italy, over 300,000 illegal immigrants have poured into the country. And despite making 8% of the population, foreigners in Italy account for more than 30% of assaults and homicides cases, and more than 40% of rape cases. I mean, the numbers are crazy. For example, Afghan and Pakistani citizens are 15 times more likely to be involved in a rape case than an Italian citizen. And the same goes for sub-Saharan Africans, with 12 times as likely, and North Africans, with 14 times as likely. But I would not say that in Italy, as of right now, there is a movement that is even similar to Mi Hazánk. But that doesn't mean that there aren't good people in Italian politics. There are great representatives in this European Parliament. For example, General Vannacci, whom I believe could lead to the reshaping of the Italian right. He could, in my opinion, form a new movement that would be truly patriotic and nationalistic and respond to the needs of the Italian people.
Okay, thank you, Pablo. Now I'm turning back to Suszanna. If we talk about Italy and Italian politics, it's not only good things or good names come to our mind, because we have an Italian name that has become quite infamous lately in Hungary, and that name is Ilaria Salis. Now, could you tell us a few words about Ilaria Salis? What happened and what's the case? What is going on here in the European Parliament?
Well, Ilaria Salis wasn't an innocent activist, but a part of an organized extremist group that attacked the innocent Hungarian people, innocent passers-by on the streets of Budapest. The Hungarian justice system treats her according to the law, without any political motivation, contrary to many foreign media suggest. By winning the seat in the European Parliament, she not only escaped justice, but she avoided the suspension of her immunity. So it's a really bad, really tragic case, I think. And it reminds me how the double standards work in the European Union. She did something wrong, something very, very wrong. And I think she must take responsibility of that. It's simple, she must do that.
Thank you. Pablo, how do you say Ilaria Salis' figure? Is she misled, poor fellow, or is she is she rather an international criminal? What do you think about her?
Right. Well, I mean, she's both. Of course, she's a terrorist that found safe haven in the European Parliament. And I mean, what happened 2 weeks ago with the vote that made her remain here with her immunity is really a new low point for this institution. And it just goes to show that, as you said, justice doesn't apply to left-wing terrorism. So.
I see, thank you. Well, as a final question, what message would you send to young Italian young people from a Hungarian MEP?
My message is very simple. Never be ashamed of loving your nation. Always be proud of your beautiful country. You are really lucky because you are living a country blessed by a very rich heritage, very rich culture. So you have to preserve it. And we will stand by you always. And I think we will win together. And patriotism will save Europe.
Thank you. And now, Pablo, you can send a short message to Hungarians, especially young Hungarians, and even more especially to the young people, the youth of our homeland movement. What would you send? What message would you send to them?
Right. Well, even if the situation in Hungary is not as dire as in our Western European countries, do not get distracted, because you have to fight for your country, you have to fight for your people, and you have to fight for a civilization. And in the end, we win, but only if everyone chips in.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm very grateful
Thank you.
for you being here. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for following Zsuzsanna's work and ESN's work here in the European Parliament. See you soon with more news coming from the European Parliament and from the ESN Group. Goodbye.
And God bless all of you.